Welcome to Intelligence Gateway.
Risk Severity Lecture 20.1. Topic objectives. TAS. Describe what is meant by the following risk probabilities: very likely, medium, high, and extreme. Risk probabilities are used to assess the likelihood of an event or situation occurring, and they play a crucial role in risk management. Here's a description of what is meant by the following risk probabilities. 1. Very likely. This means that the event or situation is expected to occur with a high degree of certainty. It is almost certain to happen and has a high probability of occurrence. In terms of percentages, very likely could be associated with a probability of 80% or higher. This implies that the risk is quite significant, and appropriate measures should be taken to mitigate or manage it effectively. 2. Medium. When a risk is categorized as medium, it suggests that there is a moderate chance of the event or situation happening. It falls in the middle of the risk probability spectrum, the probability of occurrence for a medium risk event still deserves attention and planning for mitigation. 3. High. A risk classified as high indicates that there is a considerable chance of the event or situation occurring. It carries a substantial probability, often ranging from 60% to 80%. High-risk events are more likely to happen than not, and they demand prompt attention and robust risk management strategies. 4. Extreme. This denotes the highest level of risk probability, signifying that the event or situation is almost certain to occur. An extreme risk has a probability approaching 100%, typically above 90%. This means that it is very likely to happen, and failure to address or manage this risk adequately could lead to severe consequences or even catastrophic outcomes. Extreme risks demand immediate and comprehensive actions to prevent or mitigate their impacts. Merit. Describe how the probability of a threat occurring can be calculated using a risk severity matrix. A risk severity matrix is a valuable tool used in risk management to assess and prioritize potential threats or risks. It combines the likelihood of a threat occurring with the severity of its potential impact by calculating the probability of a threat occurring using a risk severity matrix. Organizations can better understand their risk landscape and make informed decisions on risk mitigation strategies. Here's how it's done. 1. Identify potential threats. The first step is to identify all potential threats or risks that could affect the organization or project. These threats can be related to security, safety, financial, reputational, operational, or any other relevant aspect of the organization's activities. 2. Define severity levels. Next, the organization needs to establish a set of severity levels or impact categories. These levels typically range from low to high and are used to measure the potential consequences of each threat. 3. Define likelihood levels. In addition to severity levels, likelihood levels are established to assess the probability of each threat occurring. These levels also generally range from low to high. 4. Assign ratings. Once the severity and likelihood levels are established, each potential threat is assigned a rating based on its severity and likelihood. For example, if there are 3 severity levels low, medium, high and 3 likelihood levels low, medium, high, there will be a 3x3 matrix to assess the risks. 5. Calculate probability. To calculate the probability of a threat occurring, the organization can use historical data, expert judgment, statistical analysis, or a combination of these methods. For instance, it may analyze past incidents, industry statistics, or expert opinions to estimate the likelihood of each threat materializing. 6. Plot the risk severity matrix. After determining the probability for each threat, plot it on the risk severity matrix. The x-axis represents the likelihood levels, and the y-axis represents the severity levels. The intersection of the likelihood and severity levels will indicate the overall risk level of each threat. 7. Prioritize risks. By visualizing the risks on the matrix, the organization can prioritize them based on their severity and likelihood. High severity and high likelihood risks should be addressed with priority, while low severity and low likelihood risks may require less immediate attention. 8. Develop risk management strategies with the risks prioritized. The organization can develop appropriate risk management strategies to mitigate, avoid, transfer, or accept each risk based on its position in the matrix. Overall, the risk severity matrix helps organizations make informed decisions by quantifying and visualizing potential threats, enabling them to allocate resources more effectively and proactively manage risks to achieve their objectives. Distinction: discuss different risk severity matrices and the suitability of each one. Risk severity matrices are useful tools used in risk management to assess and prioritize risks based on their potential impact and likelihood. They help organizations determine which risks require immediate attention and resources. Different organizations may use various types of risk severity matrices, depending on their specific needs, industry, and risk tolerance. Below are 3 common types of risk severity matrices and their suitability for different contexts. 1. Likelihood impact matrix. In this matrix, risks are evaluated based on 2 main factors: likelihood, probability, and impact consequence. Likelihood is usually classified into categories such as low, medium, and high, while impact is categorized as low, moderate, and high. Suitable for this matrix is straightforward to use and is commonly employed in various industries as a starting point for risk assessment. It is suitable for organizations looking for a simple and easy-to-understand approach to prioritize risks based on their potential impact and likelihood. 2. Risk Severity Index (RSI) Matrix. The Risk Severity Index matrix expands on the likelihood impact matrix by adding an additional dimension of risk severity, which is calculated by multiplying the likelihood and impact scores. Each risk is assigned a numeric score, e.g., 1 to 5 for both like and impact, and the RSI is obtained by multiplying these scores, e.g., RSI equals likelihood score asterisk impact score. Suitable for this matrix is more quantitative than the likelihood impact matrix and provides a clearer ranking of risks. It is suitable for organizations that want a more precise method to prioritize risks and allocate resource accordingly. Specification coverage. Introductory task and likelihood. Winning a lottery jackpot. Probability. The chances of winning a lottery jackpot are generally very low, often in the range of millions to 1. Many people participate, but only a tiny fraction of them actually win the jackpot. While it's not impossible, it is still considered unlikely for any individual to win. Likely event: getting caught in traffic during rush hour. Probability: if you commute during peak hours in a densely populated area, it is quite likely that you will get caught in traffic. The probability of this happening is relatively high due to the large number of vehicles on the road and the congestion during these times. Very likely event: receiving a text message or email. Probability: in today's digital world, it is very likely that you will receive a text message or email throughout the day. With the prevalence of smartphones and constant connectivity, most people receive multiple messages and emails daily, making this event highly probable. Deeper learning activities. Risk severity. A risk is a threat that could result in some form of loss at some point in time. Describe 3 examples of a threat where the probability is unlikely, likely, and very likely. Past a risk severity can be calculated by the probability of the threat occurring times expected impact level. Value of the loss. Sure. Here are 3 examples of threats with varying probabilities. 1. Unlikely threat: alien invasion. Probability: unlikely. Explanation: an alien invasion, while a popular theme in science fiction, is highly improbable. There is currently no credible evidence to suggest the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations capable of traveling vast interstellar distances to reach Earth. Moreover, the vastness of the universe and the limitations of our technology make such an event highly unlikely in the foreseeable future. 2. Likely threat: cybersecurity breach of a medium-sized company. Probability: likely explanation. With the increasing reliance on digital systems and the internet, cybersecurity breaches have become more prevalent. A medium-sized company that may not have the same level of robust security measures as larger corporations could be a more attractive target for cybercriminals, while not a certainty. The likelihood of such a threat is higher due to the prevalence of cyber attacks in recent years. 3. Very likely threat: seasonal influenza outbreak. Probability: very likely. Explanation: seasonal influenza outbreaks occur annually and affect millions of people worldwide. The influenza virus mutates regularly, making it difficult for vaccines to provide complete protection due to the highly contagious nature of the virus and its widespread prevalence. A seasonal influenza outbreak is very likely to occur each year, particularly during the colder months when people tend to be in closer proximity, leading to increased transmission. Describe what is meant by the following impact levels, values, and give 3 examples of each. PASS in the context of impact levels or values. The term PASS could represent a specific classification or scale used to assess the severity or significance of various factors or events. However, without additional context, it is challenging to determine the exact meaning of PASS. If you could provide more information or clarify the specific context in which PASS is being used, I would be more than happy to assist you in describing its meaning and providing examples accordingly. Describe what is meant by the term risk severity matrix. TAS: a risk severity matrix, also known as a risk impact matrix or risk probability and impact matrix, is a visual tool used in risk management to assess and prioritize risks based on their potential consequences and likelihood of occurrence. The matrix helps project managers, decision makers, and teams to understand significance of various risks and allocate appropriate resources to address them. Here's how it works. 1. Probability. Risks are evaluated on their likelihood of occurring, often rated as low, medium, or high probability. This assessment is based on historical data, expert judgment, or analysis of similar past events. 2. Impact severity. Risks are assessed on the potential consequences they could have on the project organization if they materialize. The impact is also typically categorized as low, medium, or high. Impact can be measured in terms of financial losses, schedule delays, safety hazards, reputational damage, or any other relevant criteria. 3. Matrix. The risk severity matrix combines the probability and impact assessments into a grid. The matrix usually has probability on one axis, e.g., low, medium, high, and impact on the other axis, e.g., low, medium, high. 4. Risk classification. Each risk is positioned within the matrix based on its assessed probability and impact. The cells of the matrix are color-coded or labeled to represent different risk levels, such as low, moderate, and high risk. This classification helps identify the most critical risks that require immediate attention. Describe the contents of a risk severity matrix. TAS: a risk severity matrix, also known as a risk impact matrix or risk probability matrix, is a visual tool used in risk management to assess and prioritize risks based on their potential impact and likelihood. It helps organizations or project teams to understand the significance of various risks they might encounter and enables them to focus their efforts on managing the most critical ones. The matrix typically consists of 2 main dimensions: probability, likelihood. This dimension represents the likelihood or chance of a risk event occurring, It is usually divided into multiple categories, such as low, medium, and high, or assign numerical values, such as 1 to 5, indicating the probability of the risk materializing. Impact severity. This dimension represents the potential consequences or impact of a risk event, if it were to occur, like the probability dimension. It is also divided into categories like low, medium, and high, or assign numerical values that express the severity of the risk's impact on the project or organization. Describe how the probability of the threat occurring can be calculated using a risk severity matrix, merit in risk management. A risk severity matrix is a tool used to assess and prioritize potential threats or risks based on their impact and likelihood of occurrence. It helps organizations or individuals to make informed decisions about how to allocate resources and efforts in mitigating risks. The probability of a threat occurring can be calculated using a risk severity matrix by following these steps. 1. Identify the threats. First, compile a comprehensive list of potential threats or risks that the organization or project might face. These threats can vary depending on the context, such as financial risks, cybersecurity threats, operational risks, etc. 2. Define probability categories. Next, establish a set of probability categories that represent the likelihood of each threat occurring. These categories could be expressed as percentages, e.g., 0 to 25%, 26 to 50%, 51 to 75%, 76 to 100%, or qualitative descriptors, e.g., low, medium, high. Point 2. Define probability categories. Next. 3. Define impact categories. Determine the impact categories that will measure the severity of each threat. Impact can refer to the consequences of the threat materializing, such as financial losses, damage to reputation, or disruption of operations. Similar to probability, impact categories can be expressed quantitatively or qualitatively. 4. Assign probability and impact ratings. For each threat, assess its probability and impact, and assign it to relevant categories. This step can be based on historical data, expert judgment, statistical analysis, or a combination of these methods. Research different examples of risk severity matrices and discuss when each one would be used, distinct in a risk severity matrix, also known as a risk impact probability matrix, is a valuable tool used in risk management to assess and prioritize risks based on their potential impact and likelihood of occurrence. The matrix typically categorizes risks into different severity levels to help organizations focus their resources and efforts on managing the most critical risks. Different examples of risk severity matrices can be found across various industries and organizations. Below are 3 common types of risk severity matrices and when each one would be used. 1. 3x3 risk severity matrix. This is one of the simplest and most widely used risk severity matrices. It divides risks into 3 categories based on their likelihood and impact, creating a 3x3 grid. High severity red zone, risks with high impact and high likelihood that require immediate attention and mitigation. Medium severity yellow zone, risks with moderate impact and likelihood that need to be monitored closely and managed actively. Low severity green zone, risks with low impact and likelihood that may require minimal monitoring or can be accepted without active mitigation. When to use. This matrix is suitable for organizations with limited resources and a relatively straightforward risk profile. It provides a quick and easy way to identify and prioritize risks. Progress check.
Thanks for watching. For more information, like, comment, and subscribe our channel.